can lead to audio problems that make it difficult for the commissioners to hear you and for you to hear them. If you have multiple people from your team on the call, they should all be in separate locations. When the meeting starts, all of the schools will be listed as attendees. Attendees cannot display their video camera and cannot turn on their microphone unless asked to do so by a moderator. But attendees can ask questions using the Q&A feature. Please note, questions are displayed publicly, so do not put any sensitive or private information in the Q&A. During the meeting, when your school is recognized, you will need to raise your digital hand, which will help moderators find you in the list of attendees logged into the meeting. When this happens, you will be asked to unmute your microphone. Once you unmute yourself, you will be able to speak. If you call in using a phone instead of a computer, you can raise your digital hand by pressing *9 and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. The Commission for Independent Education has changed the way schools will participate remotely in meetings. Moving forward, CIE will be using Zoom Webinar, and there are a few differences to be aware of. The first process to be aware of is registration. When you click on the invitation link on CIE's home page, you will be taken to a registration page. This page has 5 questions that must be filled in: first name, last name, email, confirmation of your email, and organization name. After you register, you will receive an email that includes the Zoom link to access the webinar. Please do not share this link, as it will only work with one device per registrant. If you have multiple people calling in, they should all register individually. On the day of the meeting, we advise you to have only one device in the room. Multiple devices in the same room can lead to audio problems that make it difficult for the commissioners to hear you and for you to hear them. If you have multiple people from your team on the call, they should all be in separate locations. When the meeting starts, all of the schools will be listed as attendees. Attendees cannot display their video camera and cannot turn on their microphone unless asked to do so by a moderator. But attendees can ask questions using the Q&A feature. Please note, questions are displayed publicly, so do not put any sensitive or private information in the Q&A. During the meeting, when your school is recognized, you will need to raise your digital hand, which will help moderators find you in the list of attendees logged into the meeting. When this happens, you will be asked to unmute your microphone. Once you unmute yourself, you will be able to speak. If you call in using a phone instead of a computer, you can raise your digital hand by pressing *9 and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. The Commission for Independent Education has changed the way schools will participate remotely in meetings. Moving forward, CIE will be using Zoom Webinar, and there are a few differences to be aware of. The first process to be aware of is registration. When you click on the invitation link on CIE's home page, you will be taken to a registration page. This page has 5 questions that must be filled in: first name, last name, email, confirmation of your email, and organization name. After you register, you will receive an email that includes the Zoom link to access the webinar. Please do not share this link, as it will only work with one device per registrant. If you have multiple people calling in, they should all register individually. On the day of the meeting, we advise you to have only one device in the room. Multiple devices in the same room can lead to audio problems that make it difficult for the commissioners to hear you and for you to hear them. If you have multiple people from your team on the call, they should all be in separate locations. When the meeting starts, all of the schools will be listed as attendees. Attendees cannot display their video camera and
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I will pass it over to Chair Coyne.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is the Commission for Independent Education, and I am Dr. Mildred Coyne, Chair of the Commission. We are meeting virtually via Zoom. Today is July 28, 2023. I'm in the wrong spot. Stand by. Sorry. One more second.
Page 46.
Thank you. Ms. Good. Could we have a roll call, please? Uh-oh.
Commissioner Coyne,
Can you all hear? Oh, present?
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Commissioner Whitaker, Commissioner Cross,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor Ellis,
Present.
Commissioner Marty, and Commissioner Stefano.
Present.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everyone, if you have not already done so, please put your phones on silent. Thank you. It is now time for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Taylor Ellis.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning. This meeting has two viewing options as follows. Please use this option one if you only wish to view the meeting. Navigate to the Commission's Agenda Information webpage and click on the webcast link available for the desired day. Today's agenda addresses non-degree granting institutions. These links will direct you to a live video feed of the meeting that will be used for viewing purposes only. This option does not allow anyone to communicate with the Commission or staff. Please use option two if you will need to communicate with the Commission during today's meeting, including institutions on the agenda. Navigate to the webcast links referenced a moment ago and locate the Zoom webinar registration link. Under the video link, there is a separate registration for each day, January 27 and 28. You must register separately for each day. This link will send a confirmation email that contains additional instructions on how to proceed with viewing the meeting. When registering, please note a separate registration is required for each user as shared logins are not permitted. When registering, please enter your school name as it appears on the agenda in the designated organization box. This will assist with identifying schools during the meeting. The confirmation email contains instructions for dialing into the webinar for users desiring to call in. If your school is called, please raise your digital hand and unmute yourself. During the meeting, please ensure your device remains muted unless you are speaking with the Commission. It is recommended that only one device be in the same room at one time. If multiple devices are nearby, please be sure to silence the volume and make sure they are muted. This will prevent any feedback during the meeting. For users who use the dial-in feature, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute your phone. For technical assistance with using Zoom, please see the Zoom technical support web link identified on the CIE website. For questions or concerns, please email cieinfo@fldoe.org. And again, thank you for joining us today and welcome. Due to this meeting's virtual format, we will forego the introduction of visitors. We ask that any individual speaking with the Commission on behalf of an institution to please state your full name and relationship with the school. Non-degree granting institutional licensures issues are relating to today's agenda will be the consideration of license issues relating to non-degree granting institutions. The first section, item A on the agenda, is for institutions ordered to appear back before the Commission, and there are no items in this section. Application B, for provisional licensure, there are 5 items. Please note for the record that item 5 has withdrawn their application and therefore will not be considered. We will take the remaining institutions individually. The first institution is Advanced Dental Academy of Treasure Coast, Port St. Lucie, number 12515. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and unmute and introduce yourself.
One moment, Chair Coyne.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're good. Who are we speaking with?
Good. Rebecca Toomey and Dr. Paulina Pichardo. She will be the owner and director of the school, and I will be the liaison.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Discussion?
I know we have all read through the information that's been provided. Good morning. Why don't you tell us about your school and what differentiates you from other schools in the area?
Hi, good morning. My name is Dr. Pichardo. Being a dentist for since 2014. We own multiple offices on the Treasure Coast, and what I feel that we differentiate from the other dental offices is that we're going to provide an advanced education to all the assistants. Since we provide a diversity type of services like implants, we do very complex procedures, and I feel like we will be providing really good knowledge to all those assistants in the dental field, especially nowadays that, you have new technologies, digital scanners, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be able to teach the assistants on really advanced education when it comes in the dental field.
Thank you. And is this 100% online, obviously, then with the externship in your offices?
No, it's going to be in person. We have, like I said, multiple offices. One of the locations, the one in Port St. Lucie, I'll be at main center. Well, we're going to be able to have the students coming at the office. We're going to have hands-on also. They're going to be able to see all the doctors working, doing very complex procedures, implant and surgery. And we'll be able to, we're going to have a whole room designated for the lectures and all that. So it's going to be something really nice, but, where they be able to get a lot of information.
Thank you. And I apologize. I did read and had notes that it was on site, not online. That's in my brain from this morning. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you share what your marketing strategy is going to be and what your target for the number of students?
The target for the number of students, it's going to be almost like, I guess you can say semesters or sessions. We don't want to do too many students at one time because we want to be able to be very hands-on, and she wants to physically be able to go in there and help every individual student, get all the learning and hands-on stuff they need, like making temps, taking proper x-rays and everything like that. So we're probably targeting maybe like 8 to 10 per semester. In terms of marketing, of course, already having, 10 or so dental offices, we do have, marketing established. We will market this more with, online, social media. We currently already, do flyers and everything like that in the mail for our offices. So we would be doing that for the dental school also, as well as there's a couple magazines like locally that are looking to, feature new dentists and stuff and that kind of thing. So we would definitely want to market the school that way as well.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other discussions?
I do have a couple of questions, Chair.
Please.
I know your plan is 48 students the first year, 12 per session. What is your goal? And after you're up and running, are you trying to keep it a small size, or do you have plans to expand that number 10 times, 5 times? What is your goal long term?
Yeah, for now, we want to keep it around that number just because I said, like, we definitely want to be able to really get these students the advanced learning they need, not like if they were in a big bulk classroom. We want to be able to be very hands-on so they can learn everything they need to know and more. Like Dr. Pichardo had mentioned, we want them to also, take part in shadow in complex procedures, things that they're going to see in the workforce. I mean, and ultimately, we want to be able to offer some of these students possibly a position at one of our facilities, some of the top students, and keep kind of growing and developing them. So I'd say, at the beginning, get-go for the first couple of years, we do want to keep it not small. Like, obviously we can do a little more students each year, but we definitely want to make it so that it can be very hands-on, and good for the students more so than like a profitability type thing.
Okay. And this may be a question for Director Hurst or you, but it mentions to remove all language regarding online in your business plan, and I didn't see that, so I don't know if it was already a revised business plan, or I was curious to know what that referenced.
Would you mind repeating the question again?
Yeah, in one of the contingencies, it says to remove all verbiage as it relates to online in the business plan. But in the business plan, I didn't see it except for one part where it said if what's your contingency plan, and it mentioned to take it online if needed. Outside of that, I didn't see it. So I don't know if that's what it was in reference to, the contingency, or if there was something else, or if this was a cleaned up version, a revised version.
Tara, are you in there?
Sorry, we have a company that worked on us with a business plan, and her name's Tara. She should be on this call. I was trying to see if she would chime in on that. It might be in reference. I mean, that should be, any documents you have should be the revised ones. But maybe they meant the reference like online to just make sure students don't think it's just an online school and they know it's like a hands-on thing.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. Here's Tara. I'll let her take it away here.
Hi, my name is Tara Snowden. I'm with GMAX. I have been helping Dr. Paulina with her school. Yes, you have a cleanup version, but it was just regarding the school is not going to be online, but there were, I believe, some verbiage stating that it could be online. So they wanted us to clean it up to make sure that the students understood that it wasn't online. So that, I believe that's the only verbiage that we had to clean up, just to make sure that the students understood that it wasn't online, but there may be some instance where we could work it out that it could be online if something were to happen.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cross, did you need anything from staff related to that?
No, I mean, I see the contingency verbiage for, in case of emergency, switch to online, which we all kind of did with the governor's approval. But I didn't see any other references, so I just didn't know if this was a cleaned up version. I was just curious where that was located, or maybe it's not. So I'm glad to hear that it's not, and the intention is to be on site. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussions? Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion to accept the staff's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor Ellis, second by Commissioner Stefano. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really
everyone.
appreciate it.
Sure. So good luck. We're looking forward to hearing good things. The next institution is Florida Barber Institute, Jacksonville, number 12755. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday.
Hello.
Morning.
This is Marilyn Darius. I'm the Executive Director of Admissions, and I have here Christopher Darius, who's the Director of education and president. And we're excited to be here today with you guys.
Very good. Thank you. So I guess same line of questioning. Tell us a little bit about what's going to make your Florida Barber Institute in Jacksonville a differentiation in the marketplace, and how are you going to compete for students?
So the greatest thing is Christopher has over 10 years of experience in the barber industry and in the beauty industry. So he is well known with several owners in the community. We also have a great relationship with a lot of nonprofits here. I worked for a nonprofit for over 10 years. I work closely with United Way and many other organizations. We also have that leeway with the schools. Our sister's a vice principal at one of our local schools here. And so we have that broad, and we're very committed to being in the community. So our goal is to not just be in the school and teaching, but also show them that we can do outreach programs and provide haircuts and show other people that there's more to just, teaching in the classroom.
So you'll leverage your relationship network and professional network that you built for garnering new students.
Yes, yes. Being with him, being in the barbershop, like I said, he has that aura where he has built several relationships. He talks to clients all the time. He engages. We also have a big appearance in social media. So we have that stand in our city. Yeah, we have a big presence in our city.
And if I may, also, I joined a lot of youth programs locally. One of the current ones is called Thrive Outside, where we teach young men all about the outdoors. We tend to be around 15 to 20 boys at a time. Also, I always bring my clippers with me. They always want to learn something new. So as we're trying to fill in time on these trips where we go out of town or anything like that, a lot of them like to engage and learn, so having the relationships with schools, as well as some of the schools here locally have cosmetology and barber programs installed. I've met with one principal so far just to kind of, see what that entailed. I didn't know if they were coming out licensed or unlicensed coming out of high school, but she was letting me know we should build together. And also, that might be a good stream for those students to get to know me and as well follow me to my school.
Gotcha. Very good. How many students do you anticipate?
We're anticipating.
And what's your target?
Right now, we're guesstimating a low number. That's what we did on our financials. So about 29 students for the year, but I do see that number to really be higher than that. But that's our safety net.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Marty, second by Commissioner Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion to accept staff recommendations is adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful. Thank you.
Have a great day.
And have a great weekend.
You too. Yeah, thanks. The third school is Florida Student Cosmetology School, Fort Pierce, number 10271. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I was having a little issue with my unmute.
It happens.
Hello, my name is Sharon Parker. I'm with Florida Student Cosmetology School here in the Sunrise City of Fort Pierce, Florida.
Well, welcome. So tell us about your school and what's going to make you stand out in the crowd.
Well, I'm excited to offer to my community programs that are targeting like cosmetology, barbering, the nail specialist program, and the facial specialist program. And what helps me stand out, I've been a salon owner of Salon Suites here on the Treasure Coast for the past 32 years. I have 2 locations. Over the years, I've had at least 60 to 70 stylists that have gone through my salons. And I have job opportunities for the upcoming students in my area. And we're just gonna offer benefits, affordable tuition, flexible schedules, you know, a little bit of everything, advanced training and all.
Thank you. How do you, so do you have what is your specific marketing strategy? I appreciate that you've had 32 years of experience in a couple of locations, which is very helpful, I'm sure.
Thank you.
But do you have other marketing strategies to reach into the community for the?
Yes, my other marketing strategies would be that I'm gonna reach out to our community, our local community, as far as we're going to go out to the chambers of commerce, and also we're going to advertise and market on the radio. I'm working with the local, a couple of my clients work for the Boys and Girls Club here. So we'll offer little, I guess you would call it seminars for the kids, like back to school for students or what have you. So we have quite a plethora of different things that we're going to offer to our community, as well as, you know, marketing on social media and Google.
Thank you. How many students are you targeting to start, and then what's your target?
My starts for the the starts would be 4 students per program for starting off. I want to start off kind of slow, and then overall I anticipate maybe 25 to 30 students total throughout the 4 programs.
What is the tuition for the different programs?
The tuitions for the programs for the barbering and cosmetology program is $7,863.50, and for the facial specialist is $3,195, and for the nail specialist program is $3,245.
Thank you.
Any other discussions? Commissioner Whitaker, were you?
Sorry, I was just able to.
Oh, no, that's okay. I saw you off mute. I didn't want to.
Yes, I'm on. Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Very, very good. Any other discussion, commissioners?
Chair Coyne.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is one staff modification for the contingencies in front of you. So
Okay.
number 2 currently reads as submission of an executed agreement with an online library provider. That should be amended to reflect submission of an executed agreement with an online library provider or of other documentation sufficient to demonstrate compliance with Rule 6E-2.0048A Florida Administrative Code.
So the motion with the amended staff recommendation as stated by the executive director. Eric, would you like to say something?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just for the record, I don't believe that Commissioners Marty and Whitaker were present at the roll call. They came in just after, and I would like the record to reflect that they are present and have been voting.
Thank you. So with that noted on the record, we're going to take a motion. We will entertain a motion to accept staff's recommendation with the amended contingency as read by Executive Director Hurst.
So move.
Can I say something, please?
Sure.
Okay, so I have my attorney, Mark Murray, and my consultant, Carla Jones, online as well. And I'm not sure if they had anything to say about the actual library.
Hey, Sharon, this is, hey, commissioners, this is Mark Murray, legal counsel for Florida Student Cosmetology School. Sorry that I didn't announce myself. I was late on the unmute button. But no, that language that was proposed is perfect for the school. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Whitaker and a second by Commissioner Marty. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted with as amended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
The next school is Smart Business Solutions Beauty School in Hialeah, number 11412. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and unmute and introduce yourself.
We have no one on the line.
Director Hurst, is there any information that we need to be aware of beyond what's in the contingencies? Is there any other information that you can provide us on this?
No, Chair Coyne.
Commissioners, do you have any discussion or thoughts about moving forward without hearing from the school?
Have they've been notified to appear, right? So maybe they changed their mind.
Director Hurst, can I ask, there's a laundry list of provisions here that are some pretty prudent aspects of getting off the ground, from enrollment agreements to, proof of fictitious names and personnel forms. I'm not suggesting to change your recommendation, but I'm perhaps making a suggestion that this could be for a shorter period of time, because it looks like the contingencies, this is 120 days. I mean, can we ask them to come back in September and update this, or September the 120-day mark based on when this was submitted? I think that's November, right?
I kind of feel that there are a lot of recommendations. There's a lot of things that need clarification. So maybe we should postpone.
Eric?
Or make them return in September. I think it's a lot of recommendations there. And some of them, like right on one side of the, I don't know what they submitted, but it seems to be lacking. I don't know. From the commissioner, can somebody give us your opinion?
Eric, can you weigh in on this?
Yes, just to clarify, and the Executive Director Hurst can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that they are given 90 days, not 120, to satisfy their contingencies. I think the 120 days is when they is that they need to make a timely and sufficient application no later than 120 days prior to July 31st for their license renewal. But I believe that it's 90 days that they are given to satisfy these contingencies.
That is correct.
I see that now.
Yes.
So technically, based on when this was submitted to staff and the director, that would mean they do need to come back in September, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, if they actually met the contingencies, so they have 90 days to meet the contingencies from when they received the clerked order. So they would not come back in front of the commission. If they met all of the clerked orders, that would grant them the provisional license. And then the next time they would appear in front of the commission would be for their first annual license.
A year later.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can we have conversations with them? I mean, I'm not opposed to staff recommendations, but I'd like to revisit this issue once. I mean, we don't have financials for principals. We don't have enrollment agreements. There's a significant amount of information missing here, but I don't feel comfortable making a judgment on, I guess is what I'm saying, without all of that information. So I'm happy to grant that provisional today, contingent upon getting all these things turned in and us talking to these folks in September. Can we ask for that, Counselor?
Okay. Well, so what I was going to advise was that we would have to confirm with Executive Director Hurst whether they would be within the 90 days if the commission delayed on granting the license.
Right.
And they're not here to waive that. And so that is an issue. I don't see any reason why the commission could not add, if the commission was inclined to grant the license, I don't see why the commission could not add a contingency that they have to appear back before I don't know, actually.
Can I ask it a different way? What is the requirement for schools to appear when they're getting their provisional license before the commission? I mean, most schools do, majority, almost all do appear, but is it a requirement?
Chair Coyne, there is no requirement for them to appear before the commission. We encourage them to do so. But
they're notified that they have an opportunity then to inform the commission more deeply on what
they are.
Absolutely. And, there are certain proceedings of a disciplinary nature when their appearance can be required simply to apply for a license, whether it's provisional or annual, is not required. It's not in in any of our standards. That said, it behooves them to appear for precisely reasons like this. As of now, arguably, the application is not a complete one, arguably, given that the contingencies are now satisfied. And if the commission is inclined, because they're not here to waive their 90 days, not to grant the license with contingencies, but to deny the application, the commission is within its rights to do so. So those are the commission's options.
Chair, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
Well, there are significant holes and gaps here from training programs for the staff and enrollment agreements, financials, and also I consider not being present, considering those some very simple things to be done, kind of a red flag for just approving this and having a year or even 90 days to send some of those in. I mean, you can get some proof of your fictitious name filing off Sunbiz in about 5 minutes. So these aren't heavy lifts, and no one's present here to discuss why those things haven't been done. This would be a painful, in my opinion, granting without some additional information.
I totally agree. I feel that I don't know enough.
Okay. Eric?
Sure. I would just like it to be clarified that the mere non-attendance of the school at the meeting in and by itself cannot be grounds for denying them their license. It should be.
Yeah, no. My point in discussing them not being here is I have to look at this as a snapshot of the information we've been provided, which is very inadequate with lots of holes and gaps. So that my point in their presence is if they were here to talk about those, I could understand better why so many still exist, but I just have to look at it for what it is now.
And so my follow-up question too, so if the motion is to deny the application, what is the school's recourse following that denial? What happens next for them? How do they But let's see. I'm interested in Eric or Executive Director Hurst. I'm actually asking either one of you.
So it appears that they did RSVP. They responded to the RSVP. We were looking into our records to see their attendance. So we could, with this particular one, with these contingencies, it does have that it delegates the authority to the executive director to issue the provisional license when the contingencies are timely filled. So we would ensure that those were fulfilled before issuing or granting that provisional license. You could add a contingency to have them appear at the September meeting to speak before the commission.
Mm-hmm. And if the application is denied, what is their recourse? What's the next step for them?
They would go through the appeal process where they could request an informal hearing.
Chair, I'd also like to add in that on the summary sheet, working capital is listed at $253,322 on their compilation submitted by their CPA. That working capital is actually $21,000. That 253 number is their total assets, including inventory, which is not working capital. So even the information that was submitted isn't accurate. And not to say that there's also a tremendous amount of information that has not been submitted.
Commissioner Marty?
Is there a possibility of just postpone instead of deny? Postpone that they complete some of the stuff or have some way of planning what's going on, and we look at it in September?
Well, the problem with that is that they'd have to waive, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, that they'd have to be present to waive their 90-day rule of us making a decision on their application within 90 days. And since they're not here to waive that right to the 90-day rule, because that would be the most that would be the best course I would expect, or a course that we could take. Eric?
That is correct. So Executive Director Hurst and staff can confirm they have within 90 days of completion of their application, they are entitled by law to a disposition on their application. Otherwise, the application is automatically granted and the license is automatically granted. So we could delay if there was someone from the institution representing the institution present, let's say an attorney or somebody who wished to waive the 90 days, then we could delay disposing of the application until September.
But without them waiving that right, we have two options. One, to approve with contingencies, and we can add an additional contingency for them to appear. Two, which delegates the authority to the executive director to issue the provisional license once all of the contingencies have been met, and we can add to require them to appear before the commission in September of 2023. Or the second option would be to deny the application and then and then they would start, however they would want to proceed following that.
That's correct. If the application were denied, they could either appeal that or they could just they could file a new application and begin the process over again. And I would add that if the commission does nothing at this meeting, then at the 90-day mark, the license would be granted by default.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
Because
I'm confused also, Chair, because their income statement for year-end last year showing revenues and sales. And I'm confused how that's possible.
So I'm open, I think it's commissioners, we have those two options before us, and I guess we start the process with a motion and then we go, see where the discussion leads us into a vote. Is there a motion? The two, do you want me to restate the two options and we can kind of see where?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
The two options would be, one, we can make a motion to accept staff's recommendations to grant the provisional license with all of the contingencies being met and giving the authority to the executive director to grant the provisional license once all those conditions are adequately met, and add a contingency for the school to appear before us in the September 2023 meeting. That's option one. Option two would be to deny the application.
Just to make sure I'm clear on that, if we did grant with these contingencies and with the addition of appearing before the commission, council, the 90-day mark is still the 90-day mark. If we grant it and these things aren't satisfied within 90 days, does that provisional license by default terminate or rendered, not current?
The rules explicitly allow for the commission to grant with contingencies, and so if they're given more than beyond the 90 days to fulfill the contingencies, and they don't, the license can be denied at that point.
Commissioner Marty?
If we add the contingency that they show up on the September meeting and they choose not to, would that mean that they did not fulfill all the contingencies and it could be denied? Or because you said you cannot force them to come, so I don't know what the answer is to that.
That is correct. According to my reading of our laws and statutes, while they cannot be compelled to show up at their initial meeting for approval or denial, the rules give the commission very broad authority to impose reasonable contingencies. And if there are reasonable questions that the commission has based on the incompleteness or the apparent incompleteness of the application or inconsistencies therein, I believe that a contingency that they make an appearance at a subsequent meeting, I think is within the broad spectrum of commission prerogative.
So if they don't show up, we could just go ahead and deny.
I believe so.
Because it would be a failure on fulfilling the contingencies.
Failure of fulfilling.
That is my opinion. Yes.
Last question, and this is for the director and staff. I'm trying to look through to see if there was an on-site visit done already, or is that planned? Because the way the financials look now, I think they're operating.
So an on-site visit has not been conducted yet. They're not usually conducted at this stage. They get their on-site visits when they come up for their first annual license. That could be a contingency as well.
So how would that contingency read? Like before the provisional would be granted, we want to do a site visit?
Yes, it would say you would add a contingency that would state completion of an on-site visit and report by commission staff to determine compliance with commission standards of Chapter 6E Florida Administrative Code with any identified deficiencies corrected.
So I'm open to a motion from the commissioners.
Just, am I on mute? Can you hear me? I want to make sure. Yeah, I muted myself. So a quick Google of this shows them out of Hialeah with students holding up their certificate on Facebook. It is their placeholder image.
Interesting. So has staff done that due diligence as a part of this process?
One moment, Chair Coyne.
Sure.
And the address matches, the name matches, the phone number matches.
And that is an obvious violation, isn't it?
Our files do not reflect a non-compliance letter was sent.
So explain that further, please.
So if staff is aware that there is an advertising violation in place, they will send a non-compliance letter to the institution to have them change or modify the behavior. Their file does not reflect that a non-compliance letter was sent. So this was not identified by staff.
So does it give us any better rights to the 90, to the pause, or is it just put us more in a squarely position to deny application until further investigation? Well, we just denied the application because they're operating without a license. It appears they may be operating without a license, or is there a way that we can, pause denial until that investigation can occur, now that we've identified that it appears that they may be operating without a license? Eric?
My opinion is I am a little bit reticent about denying on the basis of information that is not in the record. For example, we do not have presently screenshots of the alleged advertising violation that has been raised. My advice to the commission is I believe the commissioners have the information or lack thereof before them to make any number of judgments of dispositions that are within their discretion. And I believe it is that the safer course is to make the decision on the basis of that information and not the website at this time.
Sure. So, well, certainly I didn't know that's not in the record for staff, and was only the result of the conversation. So I certainly voiced my opinion about the existing information that we had prior to even the study.
Absolutely.
Just an additional point of ambiguity on that Facebook link. There's a link to a website, and if you look at the course offerings there, they offer seminars and courses, and so it's not clear if the certificates are relative to, let's say, a course or a seminar that isn't governed by this body, or if the certificates correspond to the proposed programs and the resolution of the image is not sufficient to determine that. So it may or may not be an advertising violation.
Great point.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Would the commission consider tabling this for one moment and moving to the next school, and then I can speak to our legal counsel about all the legal options available prior to making the decision?
Absolutely. Sounds like a great idea.
Thank you very much.
So for the record, we will table a commission decision on Smart Business Solutions Beauty School Hialeah 11412 to redecide later in the business meeting. Readdress. Do I need a motion?
Yes, please.
So moved.
Okay. Second? Anyone?
Second.
So I have a motion to table this agenda item by Commissioner Williams and a second by Commissioner Taylor Ellis. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. Okay, so that takes us to section C of the agenda is applications for annual licensure. There are 7 items in this section. We will take the institutions individually. The first institution is Diverse Training Center, Hialeah Gardens, number 10286. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you
Good morning.
hear me? Good morning. My name is Lacey Casanova, and I'm the president for Diverse Training Center in Hialeah Gardens, Florida.
Great. So Can you just tell us a little bit about your enrollment plan? What are your targets? How are you seeking to attract students, and where do you expect to be in enrollment? What's your game plan?
Yes, of course. Well, when in the report that you have, looking at my summary sheet, Commissioner, I see that the report that you have for last year is 0 enrollments. But I'm glad to report that from then to now, we have had a good number of enrollments. We have targeted our marketing plan. We hired a marketing company. We do a lot of our marketing on our website, Google Ads, and social media. And that has proven to be very effective. We also have had a lot of enrollments, thankfully, from graduates' recommendations, which is great news for us. I'm also glad to inform that in 2023, from January to date, we have had 162 graduates. Currently, we have 20 active students, and we have already enrolled for the upcoming program, and this is specifically for our home health aid program, if I can specify. It is the one program we've had up and running actively, solely at this moment. We have started targeting a marketing campaign for our hemodialysis program through social media, where we already have 10 actively interested students, prospective students interested in the program. Therefore, we are planning to continue to target more our marketing, because we see that it has been very effective, as well as our referrals from our graduates, and move forward from there. But I did want to make a note that we have worked on this plan, and we have had graduates, and we are operating, and thankfully the volume has increased and things are working out, thankfully.
Thank you.
Oh, and if you don't mind my adding, just because I am taking a look at our staff recommendations, I also am very happy to announce to the commissioners that our on-site visit has been completed. It was completed on the 20th of last week, Thursday of last week, and I'm very, very proud to inform. I know you don't have that report probably at this point in front of you, it's too short of a time frame, but I'm very happy to report that we had 0 findings.
Great, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other discussion? Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion to accept the staff's recommendations?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner Marty. Is that all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The next institution is European Beauty Academy Tampa, number 7795. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
Okay. We have the recommendations there. It looks like they had a site visit recently in June. Do we know if there was any deficiencies there, Director?
One moment. Can you confirm there were no?
While the staff is looking that up, is there any other discussion, commissioners, on this one?
I'm noticing here that they don't have the rates from what I see for the program. Or maybe it's located somewhere else, but typically it's on the summary sheet on page 3.
You mean the placement and completion rates?
Just below that, where the tuition.
Oh, you mean the, what rates are you referencing is what I'm asking.
I'm sorry, the costs for the program.
Fees, okay.
I do see the placement rate is at 62.5, which is kind of on the fence there.
Their rates, Commissioner Stefano, they're in their catalog. Tuition for facial skincare specialist is $4,300 with a total program cost of $4,900. Nail specialist tuition $4,200, total program cost of $4,800.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Chair Coyne.
Yes.
Staff did receive a response for that on-site visit in July the 18th of 2023, so they are currently closing that out and making sure that all items have been addressed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the staff's recommendations for European Beauty Academy to grant the annual licensure with contingencies?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner, motion made by Commissioner Whitaker, second by Commissioner Cross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted. The next school is Faith Academy Tampa, number 7851. The staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Mark Murray, legal counsel for Faith Academy, and I believe the owner is also on the line.
Hello, good morning. My name is Mary Riviere. I am the president of Faith Academy.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any discussions?
Chair, I have a question.
Please.
What is your enrollment for the PN program? I know you have, it looks like you have 35 students. How many of those are in your PN program?
My PN program from last year, that's a total from 2021 to 2023. They are all are PNs.
And what's the total? What's the number?
I have a total of 35.
Are those 35 currently active, or are those 35 that have ever attended?
No, they attended. I have 12 of them. They were finished, but they had to take the exit. So I combined them, and I have 3 of them. They just passed the NCLEX.
3 out of how many tested out of the 3?
Oh, that's the only 3 tested, not 35 finished. 12 of them finished. Out of the 12, I have 3 tested for NCLEX, they passed. And as of now, I have 4 more who's coming to take the exit. No.
Okay, yeah, I've seen one pass successfully. I'm sorry, looking at the wrong school. I just saw a low number. I think it was 1 tester. So I'm just curious when the other ones are going to be testing.
As soon as possible, I have 4 more on the way.
So to clarify, do you have 23 active students in your school right now. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or comments?
Yeah, check. I mean, things are fairly well.
Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cross, second by Commissioner Stefano. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next institution is Flavia.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too. The next institution is Flavia Leo.
I think you're on mute, Chair Queen.
Yes.
I think I was muted. I thought maybe Executive Director. Did you pause me for a purpose?
No, there was just a small tech glitch there for a moment. You were back.
Okay, all right, no worries. The next institution is Flavia Leal Beauty School, Orlando, number 7929. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, wonderful. Hi. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Paula Fallon, and I'm Director for Flavia Leal Beauty Schools in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, Flavia could not attend the meeting today. She was asked to be a guest speaker at the International Cosmetology Conference in San Paulo today at the exact same time. She had made the commitment back in February because she thought we were going to be on the May agenda. So, but I have worked closely with Flavia to create the Orlando campus. I have been the liaison with Ms. Miller and our program specialist. And thank you so much, Ms. Miller, for your help and support. I've trained the instructors, implemented the curriculums to be in compliance with the commission. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions today.
Great, thank you. So, I mean, my question is about your enrollment plan. What is the strategy to and your targets?
Okay, well, I'm really pleased to announce our enrollment has increased from 17 last year to within 6 months, from January to July 23 to 38. And we have projected on the improvement plan 32 at this point. At year end, we're projecting 62, which I think the progression that we've had will be easily attainable. In terms of profit and loss, I'm happy to report that after a $103,000 loss incurred last year, we're on track this year at the 6-month point of the financial improvement plan that we are breaking even. And by adding additional classes to specialist classes, to facial specialist classes, to nail specialist classes, and an additional cosmetology class, I am extremely confident within the next 6-month period, we will prove to be profitable.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor Ellis, second by Commissioner Stefano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. So the next school is Lamont Technical Academy in Winter Haven, number 7871. We have staff's recommendations before us. If you are here from the institution, please raise your digital hand and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I am Tamika Gansey, and I am the owner administrator for Lamont Technical Academy.
And this is Mark Murray, legal counsel for Lamont Technical Academy.
Hello. Commissioners, any questions or discussion?
I do. Good morning. Looking at the information, headcount enrollment, student enrollment from 2021 to 22 was 11 students. Can you give us an update of the enrollment student population number for 2022 and then year-to-date 2023?
Yes, actually, we're growing slower than anticipated, only because we have some unforeseen things going on in the community with individuals offering some of the same programs that we have, but they're not licensed schools. So individuals are going to those individuals for training. However, we currently have a waiting list for our next class coming up. We have partnered with CareerSource Polk County, and we're getting lots of students from them.
Thank you. So how many active students do you have in your school right now?
Right now, we have 3 students finishing the current program, and we have 8 on the list for the next program, but we only accept 6 at a time.
And which program is that? If I'm looking correctly, I see you have 4 programs. Which ones are operational?
Okay, phlebotomy is the one that we had been operating from the beginning. That's the one that I was referencing when I was talking about the community competition. Since then, we've also started a home health program. We've had 1 class so far. Our next class is not scheduled until September of this year. And also on this agenda, I have applied to have 2 programs removed. That doesn't seem to be of as much interest as I thought it would be, which is medical administrative assistant, medical administrative specialist, and medical billing and coding. So I'm asking to remove those 2 programs at this time.
So so the waiting list, what programs are they waiting, the 8 that you have and that you're accepting 6 from, which programs?
Phlebotomy.
Okay.
So if you all approve to have those 2 programs terminated, I will have 2 programs remaining, which would be phlebotomy and home health aid.
And when you start your class in September of home health aid, how many students will you have enrolled in that?
Right now, we just started advertising for that program. We've had some interest calling in, but we still have a little while before we get any more in that one.
Okay.
If you can see from the beginning, we've always anticipated a slow moving track. Never wanted to just try to admit as many students as I can because I don't want to bring students in that are not going to be successful. We do have an interview process that we have. After the interview process, they're given a score and rank, and then we admit students based on that. We do turn students down if they look as if they will not be a good match for an online program or a hybrid program. What we do is we ask for them to maybe take a introductory class to online or get more knowledge of the online program before enrolling. We want to make sure that every student is successful. We don't want to just make money in the program.
Commissioners, any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Taylor Ellis, second by Commissioner Stefano. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful weekend.
You too. The next institution is LJ Dental Assisting School, Kissimmee, number 7744. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Loranda Jones and I own LJ Dental Assisting School.
Welcome, thank you. So can you talk to us about your working capital and how your, how your financial situation is working towards solvency for your school and your students?
Well, it's getting better. I actually have 4 students in the class right now. Shortly, they'll be graduating. I am also too working on an area where I can get students to be sent out in the field so I can gain more students. Because it's a little bit more timing when I have them in the office to do all the hands-on. So that kind of holds up some of the area, and some of the students want to get into the specialty field. So that would help me to be able to gain more students to get more income coming into the school.
And how many students do you have now?
4.
And what number do you need to get? Like, where's your target?
My target is I want to change the number because the way I'm going to do the school now, because the hours have changed in the office, and the doctor is wanting me to come in on Saturdays. That way I can probably get 10 students per class. So that's what my main target is, to change the numbering.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussions, commissioners? Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion to accept staff's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Whitaker, second by Commissioner Cross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. The next institution, number 7, Nurse Resource Training Center, LLC, Tallahassee, number 10147. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you are here from the institution, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is Sharina Beard. I am the owner of Nurse Resource Training Center in Tallahassee.
Welcome, thank you. So can you talk to us about your financial improvement plan and what your plans are for enrollment?
Yes. So I just got approved through Career Source for the WIOA funding and also vocational rehab for funding with students with disabilities. So I believe that that would help bring more students into the classroom. I just graduated 2 students in April, my April-May class, and then my August-September class that's coming up next month. I have 6 students enrolled in that class already. As far as advertising and marketing, word of mouth is like top tier in Tallahassee, but also using social media, Google, Just connected with Urban League for their clients to also come and be aware of the school. I believe awareness is a big thing with us being a brand new school, and people are generally used to our other community colleges here in town and technical school. So just awareness, marketing, and my community connections with Career Source, vocational rehab, those two will be able to help pay for students, and I will have more students coming in for next year.
What's your goal? Where do you hope to, like, what's a good number for capacity?
Yes, for next year, I would like to have at least 6 students in every single session. And if I get that for next year, I'll be ecstatic. And then after that, I would increase it. I know our max for sessions is 15, but realistically, my max right now has only been about 4 students per session. So if I can add and have more consistency in every single session, then that would be beautiful.
Fair, that's fair. I mean, I appreciate your candor about it. So, I mean, it sounds like you are working towards, you know, having that and building that capacity. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Marty, you're muted. Commissioner Marty, you're on mute. There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What is the expected, when they complete the program, it's 120 hours.
Yes.
The employment, what is the salary that these people will be getting?
So currently, in most of our nursing homes and assisted living homes, there has been an increase to $15 an hour, where they were making about $13 an hour.
What is the cost of the total cost of the program?
The program is $1105, and that's all inclusive.
And that's the CNA?
Yes.
And that's what you just had, you have on the WIOA list, funding list for your Career Source?
Yes.
That's great. I'm glad you did that. That's important. It's a good, because that's going to help you. Well, it's going to help your students have a way to pay the fee.
Yes, that was a big, not complaint, but I had a lot of interest. But when I told them the price, they were like, "Oh, okay, I'll call you back." So I needed to do something different because funding was a big issue. I know it's expensive, and I know I'm not the community college or the technical school, so I don't have financial assistance or financial aid.
They don't either for these programs. Those are too short, but they're less expensive.
That's good to know. I thought that they did. Everybody was like, let me just go to TCC or Tallahassee Community College because they'll help me pay for it.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Please.
Yeah.
Your business hours are Monday through Wednesday, 2 to 6, and then Thursday to Sunday by appointment only. What does that mean? Are students coming in one-on-one, or what does that mean? Or do you sublease the space?
I don't sublease the space. Those hours are for the community to come in. If I have like potential students coming in, then they'll be able to come and speak with me or just me. I didn't want to put the regular hours on there because I am the main teacher, so it would interrupt the class.
Okay, so this is
but if that's confusing, then I can change the business hours.
So students have access to hours outside of these, is what you're saying, for instruction?
Yes. Is that something I need to change?
I'd probably recommend that you put something that where the students know they have access between what hours.
Okay.
I think then this is intended for potential patients in the community and or lab hours for students or for prospective students, right?
Yes. I will change that.
So we could add that as a contingency.
Update the business operation hours?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept the staff's recommendations with the added contingency that the school update their business hours as noted in their documentation.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Whitaker, seconded by
Stefano.
Stefano. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck. Keep us
Thank you.
forward to hearing good things. The next section is item E on the agenda is applications. Oh, I'm sorry. Item D, there are no applications for extension of annual license in section D. And item E on the agenda is applications for annual renewal. There are 36 institutions in this section. Is there a motion to consider these applications by consent?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor Ellis, second by Commissioner Stefano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion to take this section by consent passes. I will now ask each commissioner if they have any items that they would like to pull. Commissioner Cross.
None.
Okay. Commissioner Marty. Commissioner Marty, you're on mute.
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Stefano.
Looking over my notes here, 1 second.
Okay, sure. Commissioner Taylor Ellis.
No, none.
Commissioner Williams.
Apologies, Chair. I have no more. I had to step away for just a moment.
No problem.
None for me.
None for you, Commissioner. So, Stefano, Executive Director Hurst, is there any that the staff would like to pull?
No, Chair Coyne.
And I do not have any either. So so is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations on items 1 through 36?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner Taylor Ellis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes for staff's recommendations for items 1 through 36. That was E. Where's that? Sorry. The next section is F. There are 2 applications for license by means of accreditation in section F. Is there a motion to consider these applications by consent?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner Marty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes to take this section by consent. I will now ask each commissioner if there's any school that they'd like to pull. Commissioner Cross?
Give me a minute, please.
Sure. Commissioner Marty? Commissioner Taylor Ellis? I can come back to anybody if you want me to.
No, nothing.
Commissioner Whitaker?
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Stefano?
None.
Commissioner Marty? No, she says no. Okay. And Commissioner Cross?
None.
Director Hurst, is there any that the staff would like to pull?
None.
And I have none, so I'll accept a motion to accept the staff's recommendations for these two institutions.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor Ellis, second by Commissioner Whitaker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
And
Section G.
Chair Coyne, I apologize. May I
Go
take
ahead.
us back to one section? I do need to make a correction.
Okay.
So it is section, give me 1 moment. Section E, application for annual renewal. We took all of those by consent. I do need to pull one of those items for a correction.
Okay. So we need a motion to
Yes.
amend the motion.
Can we start over and make a motion to take it by consent? And then if you will go through the commissioners, and then I will pull the one school. I apologize for the
You don't
oversight.
need to amend the motion that was already passed? Isn't
Yes,
that? is
please.
that-
Go ahead and amend the motion, and then we will do that section again.
Okay, so I need a motion to amend the motion to approve. Let me get to the right section heading. Give me 1 more second. I need a motion to amend the motion that was approved for schools 1 through 36 in section E, application for annual renewal.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Marty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes to amend the motion for section E. Now we will take a motion to consider applications for annual renewal section E 1 through 36 by consent.
So
I already
moved.
have that motion, right? We already had that motion.
Oh, go ahead
Okay.
and do it again, just for the record. Thank
Okay,
you.
so I need a motion to take this section by consent.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The motion passes to take this section by consent. I will now ask the staff if they have any that they would like to pull for review.
Yes, I would like to pull number 23.
Okay. So I will take a motion to approve, to take the staff's recommendations on items on schools 1 through 22 and 24 through 36.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cross, second by Commissioner Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now like to look at school number 23, which is flipping. Metropolitan Technical Career Institute, Newport Richey, number 3998. We have staff's recommendations before us. If you are here from the school, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
Chair Coyne, they are not on the line. However, I am pleased to say they have actually completed both of those contingencies, and so they do need to be removed from the record.
Okay.
So the amended staff recommendation would state to grant the annual license, which shall remain active and valid through July 31st, 2024. Order the institution to make timely and sufficient application for renewal of the license by submitting a complete application, materials, and fees, or an extension thereof no later than 120 days prior to July 31st, 2024.
Okay, I'll take a motion to accept that staff recommendation
So moved.
as read by the executive director. Thank you, Commissioner Stefano.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Taylor Ellis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
And thank you very much. I apologize for the oversight.
No worries. That's fine. It's okay. The next section is annual review of license by means of accreditation. We have 11 schools. Is there a motion to consider these applications by consent?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Stefanos, second by Commissioner Whitaker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion, hearing none, the motion passes. I will now ask each commissioner if they have any items that they would like to pull from this section. Commissioner Cross.
Give me a minute, please, Chair.
Sure. Commissioner Marty.
Second, please.
Sure. Executive Director Hurst, I'm just going to jump to you. Do you have any?
We do not have any.
Commissioner Stefano?
No, at this time.
No. That was you, Commissioner Marty? No. Commissioner Taylor Ellis?
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Commissioner Whitaker?
Nothing, thank you.
I have none, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cross, and I have none either. So I'll take a motion to accept these, take a motion to accept the staff's recommendation on these 11 schools for annual review of license by means of accreditation.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. There is one application for program approval modification in section H, Brevard Nursing Academy, Palm Bay, number 5973. You have staff's recommendations. Is there any discussion? Ms. Hurst, is there any discussion on this one?
No, Chair Coyne, there is not.
Commissioners? Hearing none, we'll take a motion to accept staff's recommendations to grant the approval of the Medical Assisting Diploma Program.
I move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Marty, second by Commissioner Taylor Ellis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. There are no requests for extensions of license in section I. There is one motion for a request of extension of time to comply with contingency in section J, and that is Eastern Academy of Scuba Education, Vero Beach, number 1522. Ms. Hurst, is there any discussion here?
No, Chair Coyne, there is not.
Commissioners, is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the staff's recommendation to grant the extension of time to comply?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor Ellis and second by Commissioner Cross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted. The item K on the agenda is substantive change approval. There are 5 institutions in this section. We will take these 5 institutions.
Chair Coyne, may I make one statement for the
sure.
record? Sorry, I know it came in very lightly there. It sounded a little spooky on our side. We need to remove number 5 has been withdrawn from this meeting and will not be considered.
Okay. So I have a conflicting statement in my words, but we're good to take these by consent, right? Yes, okay. So forgive me for my pause there. Item K on the agenda is substantive change approval. There are 4 institutions. Number 5 was pulled. in this section. We will take these 4 institutions. Is there a motion to take these 4 institutions by consent?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor Ellis, second by Commissioner Stefano. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion to take this section by consent passes. I will now ask commissioners if they have any that they would like to pull. Commissioner Cross?
Items 1 and 3.
Okay. Commissioner Marty?
Agree, same.
Commissioner, sorry, I lost my order. Stefano?
None additional.
Commissioner Taylor Ellis?
Nothing else, thank you.
Commissioner Whitaker?
Nothing else, thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
None additional.
Director Hurst, does the staff have any others?
No additional.
I agree. I have no additional as well. Is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations on items 2 and 4?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Marty, second by Commissioner Stefano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now look at school number 1, More Skin Care Institute, Orlando's number 7684. You have staff recommendations that have been provided. If you're here from the institution, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
Okay, do you want to give us some context here?
Yes, ma'am. So this was a recommendation from staff to change this to a provisional license due to substantive change due to the failure to maintain a minimum institutional placement rate of 60% in compliance with Rule 2.004-10C. Specifically, the institution's placement rate for the July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 was 45.45%. Staff is recommending a progress report be filed with the Commission for the November 2023 and the March 2024 Commission meetings.
Commissioners, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a motion to accept staff's recommendations.
I do, Madam Chair.
Sure.
I'm reading their improvement plan, and it's fairly disappointing and vague. But I guess, are we asking for a progress report on numbers on placement rate or on their plan? And are we accepting this plan and we want to update this plan? Or are we saying in the contingencies that we need to have placement data?
It stipulates here that it includes placement activities, job development activities, personnel, as well as the outcomes of those activities.
I guess what I'm asking, Director, is are we by approving this or accepting this, are we accepting their improvement plan that's here? Or are we just accepting to grant the license for procedural purposes and issuing a provisional license? It doesn't look like it's there's much to their plan.
So you would be accepting the plan that has been submitted. So the progress report that we've requested would include the number, information on placement personnel, placement activities, job development activities, and the number of students placed for each graduating class to show the effectiveness of the plan. If you would like to amend this, you could ask them for an updated plan as well.
I would like to do that. I'd recommend that we ask for an updated, detailed plan, because this is, I mean, there's not much on this one.
No. I agree. I would think that it's not any possibility of change with the type of plan they wrote.
Okay. Director Hurst, that's so that added contingency would be to update the detailed placement improvement plan. Is that correct?
Yeah. And I think that they're supposed to give us a progress report in November. So maybe we need to include that part of the progress report includes what their plans are for better placement.
Do we want to also ask them to appear?
I would think so.
And appear to discuss the plan, to share, or just appear? Director Hersick, thoughts on that?
Oh, I apologize. My microphone was not on. For the first one, we would request them to update the placement improvement plan would be the language. And then we can request that with their progress report that they also appear in front of the commission for the September meeting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do we, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept the staff's recommendation to find the substantive change has occurred and issue a provisional license through July 31, 2024 with all the other contingencies. We'd also like to add a contingency to update the placement improvement plan and to appear at the September 2023 meeting of the commission.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner Cross. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm sorry, one quick clarification. It should be to appear at the November.
November.
The November 2023.
That makes sense. Sorry. Amended to be November 2023 meeting.
Yeah.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Stefano, second by Commissioner, who was the second the last time?
Cross, I believe.
Cross. Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. The next school is New Horizons Computer Learning Center for Gulf Coast, Florida, Tampa, of Gulf Coast, Florida, Tampa, number 3178. You have staff's recommendations before you. Is there anyone from, if you're here from the school, please raise your hand and introduce yourself. Executive Director Hurst.
Bob Remington. I'm the owner.
I'm sorry, tell me your name again. I spoke
Bob Remington.
Hello, Mr. Remington. Welcome. Commissioner Hurst, Executive Director Hurst, do you want to give us some context here?
Yes. So the staff is recommending that substantive change has occurred and issue a provisional license through July 31st, 2024, based upon the financial soundness of the institution. So currently the institution has reported a net loss, and they do have a financial improvement plan. And that is on page 6 of your summary.
And so, Mr. Remington, so you want to give us any context as to what's happening and how, please?
Well, first of all, our revenues are up 70% this year. We've reduced our loss by 78%. We've become mostly an online institution at this point, and most of our loss can be accounted for by the cost of our real estate, which we acquired when we were a live training institute. I am planning on reducing the real estate, but the real estate currently is involved in an eminent domain case, so that's delayed. The good news about that is that the business ultimately will be receiving some resources from an eminent domain case with the Florida Department of Transportation, which will more than compensate for any of the losses and for the impacts to the business that have been going on during the eminent domain situation. So from a capital standpoint, the business is going to be very sound and safe for its students. We're also seeing better results this year, which is very encouraging.
Was that eminent domain case the cause of your sales drop?
No, sales drop was we exited voluntarily from the VA program, and we had some intermittent outages with our workforce relationship. We're also a B2B school where we train businesses, and we had some drop in revenue in certain subject matter areas there also. So it was kind of a multi-tided year.
What were those subject areas that you had a drop in from?
We had a funding source from Microsoft for their training that they terminated in 2021 that impacted us in 2022.
And what was your thought? Tell me about the stepping away from the VA, from the GI Bill.
Well, the rules were changed. We're a short cycle training, which is exactly why the VA and many workforce boards want to work with us. The VA changed the rules for funding and for auditing purposes that impacted us and influenced to change our training to a longer cycle, which we don't think would well serve our clients that are looking for a shorter term program which takes them through a career change in a faster period as opposed to traditional education.
Right. So it sounds like there's been just a lot of shifts in your business model, right? From being face to face to online.
And for 20 years, that's been the case too. Yes, ma'am. We're a constantly evolving marketplace based on demand patterns, modalities, and also subject matter area changes.
So while I appreciate that, it almost begs the question is, what is the new business plan? Like, do you have, like, is there a comprehensive new business plan that needs to be to address all of these major shifts, such as fully online, who you're serving and who you're not serving, and the programming that you're offering? I mean, those are major shifts. Have you all rebuilt the business plan in for the current climate?
Yes, ma'am. Our revenue, as I said, is up 70% year over year, and we're continuing to grow. We're also located in Orlando, and we've seen even better results there. We're just trailing the results and the growth pattern there. We've got to build our talent base inside. It's actually an admissions problem more than a demand pattern, probably. We've got to get better at promoting our programs. There's an unlimited demand for our certified graduates.
Commissioner Williams?
Sure, if I may. Yes, ma'am. Sir, I want to give you some kudos here. Outside of your fixed costs, your controllables during a time where your revenues were cut in half also were cut in half, which means you guys must have been paying very close attention to that on a month-to-month basis. The only question I have for you is about the rather sizable contribution that came in through financing activities during 2022 that kept you cash flow positive. You would not have been otherwise. And what's your intent on, is that contribution being converted to loan? Or is that going to go on your debt schedule? Or just give me some insight there, because that was a chunk.
That was an additional paid in capital by me personally, showing my commitment to the business. Yes, sir. In addition, we have ERC payments that are coming in right now. That will be a substantial amount of money to the business. My building is part of a condominium complex, which is one reason why the eminent domain case is so complicated for New Horizons Tampa. That is the flowing of funds to me have been slowed as a result of the difficulty of that case. We're part of the Tampa airport expansion, roadway expansion that will be starting in the next few years. There's a potential of well over 7 figures coming into the business as a result of that eminent domain case. So there's a lot of great stories on the future as far as cash flow is concerned. But I hear everything you're saying with respect to keeping our growth pattern on our revenue going in a positive direction, and we're working on that very hard. Understanding, once again, we also have a B2B component, a non-regulated component to our business also, which we've got to focus on better.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, is VSL1, is it a S Corp, or is this taxed as a partnership? Are you the sole owner?
They're combined, yes, sir.
So you're the sole owner and it's an S Corp?
It's a useless ownership of an ownership that was set up by an early partner in the relationship who was a genius, who turned out not to be as such.
Okay.
I'm glad you appreciate that. I laugh about it once a month myself.
I appreciate the complexity of what you faced. You did a good job managing your expenses during this time. You know, if you convert that contribution over, pay yourself a little interest, keep your EBITDA up, and avoid sending money to the federal government, there might be an opportunity to move that as a contribution to a loan. But that's something for you and your CPA to talk about. But it'll enhance your EBITDA number and at least put some more money into your pocket, since you're where the buck stops there.
Well, I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I'm more concerned about my people at this point. Part of the reason for the loss last year is we retained our people as our revenues dropped. And so a huge portion of our loss is just the payment of people as productivity dropped off a cliff due to the various changes we described. And that was just kind of an exit pay for some people, unfortunately. Now we've got our head count where we need it to be, and I'm very confident of the business going forward. But it is a rebuild, as the director said.
Well, hopefully that ERC comes through and offsets some of the pain of doing the right thing earlier. Kudos to you.
It's en route. I'm actually just waiting for the checks. I've received the confirmation, so it's about.
They didn't tell you that the check is in the
$500,000.
mail, did they?
The checks come a little slower than the verifications. It's kind of interesting.
All right. Thank you for the information. I appreciate the back and forth.
Thank you all.
So any other discussion? No, we have staff's recommendations before us. Is there a motion to accept staff's recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cross, second by, was that you, Troy?
Yes, that's right.
By Commissioner Stefano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion to accept staff's recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Moving along. There are no branch campus applications in section L. There are no applications for name change in section M. There are no agent training program applications in section N. In sections 13 through 16, is there a motion to accept the reports for sections 13 through 16? Program terminations, approved applicant letters, licenses sent, and closed school reports by consent.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion to accept the reports is adopted. Program termination, oh, I'm sorry.
Chair Cohen.
At this time, I'm sorry.
Can I jump back to the school that we were speaking about earlier in section B?
Yes.
Thank you. So if we will turn back to section B, and this is item number 4 in section B. Which is Smart Business Solution Beauty School, Hialeah, number 11412.
Mm-hmm.
The school has responded to us and has agreed to waive their 90-day rights and therefore will not be considered at this meeting.
Wonderful. That's it. That's all we need to have on record, right?
Yes, ma'am. That is what you need to have on record. The school will not be considered at this meeting and has waived their 90-day rights.
Very good. That was the best outcome that we could hope for there.
Director, does that mean in September we will revisit the issue?
Yes, that is the plan, that they will go on the September meeting and then they will appear at that time.
It's November. It's not September.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying September, don't I?
Yeah, I'm confused. I have it in my notes as September.
Oh, no, I just said September too. So I meant November. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. We've all been doing it. So we're good there. At this time, we will take comments from the commissioners. Do any commission members have any comments to share? As much as I appreciate, I'll say something. As much as I appreciate the Zoom at this for these intermittent for the meetings in between, I am looking forward to being all together though in person. And I'm not usually the one that says that. Not that I don't want to see you all. It's just that it's very busy. But I do think that it does add. This adds a lot of flexibility, but it also is going to be great to be in person.
And Chair, I'd like to add that I'm sort of amazed at the speed with which the executive director and the staff have been able to maintain as quickly as she and the staff have sort of jumped in on a moving vehicle recently. And same goes for council.
Right.
Mr. Junta has been phenomenal as well. And folks might expect that with transitions back to back like that there may be some loss in momentum, but if anything, I think we've gained it, and we've gained some accuracy and some depth as well. So kudos to the director and staff and the council.
Absolutely, I wholeheartedly second that.
Thank you for your kind comments. We appreciate them.
Thank you, commissioners.
Any other comments from anyone else? I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Our next meeting is scheduled for, it says September 28, 29, but that can't be right.
That is correct. We've just been bouncing around between September and November. We are meeting September the 28th and the 29th of 2023.
Okay.
What the confusion was is we do quarterly reporting, and the quarterly reporting would be in November. So some of them were quarterly reportings in November, but our next appearance in person will be September 28th and 29th. Okay.
I look forward to seeing everyone there. And with no further business to come before the commission, we are adjourned. Bang the gavel. But we'll take how long of a break do you all want before the rule development workshop?
How long of a break would you like? I only need about 15 minutes to switch slides, but we can do whatever the commission desires.
15 minutes is ideal for me, but I'll take the will of the group.
Sounds great.
Sounds good. 15 works.
15 minutes is good.
Okay, we're all in for 15.
Perfect.
All right, we'll see you back. Let's just call it at 11:15.
Perfect.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the virtual rule development workshop for Rule 6E-2.004, Florida Administrative Code, entitled Standards and Procedures for Licensure. I am Tiffany Hurst, the Executive Director of the Commission for Independent Education. With me today are our commissioners, the Commission's General Counsel, and staff. We are going to conduct our workshop we've conducted it over 2 days. This will be our third day conducting this workshop, and we have prepared 3 PowerPoint presentations to help guide the discussion. I'll provide an overview of the new legislative changes and encourage our commissioners and others who have joined the workshop to provide input and suggestions for rule developments. So let's go over a few housekeeping issues before we get started. Participants will be on mute for the duration of the webinar. Please feel free to submit questions and comments during the workshop by using the Q&A function. After the presentation, staff and I will respond to any questions, and we will then move into the public comment portion of the workshop. If you would like to speak during public comment, please use the raise hand function to be unmuted and state your name and title and school affiliation. Before I begin an overview of statutory changes that will need rule development, I would like to provide some background for context. House Bill 1537 was passed during the 2023 legislative session and included revisions to Chapter 1005 Florida statutes which govern the Commission. These revisions, which went into effect July 1st of this year, promote communication between institutions and their students regarding the educational commitments being made, enhance institutional and licensure application accountability, and bring consistency to the Commission's data collection efforts. The legislation and the rules that will implement it once they are developed, approved by the Commission, and receive final approval from the State Board of Education, will update licensure standards for private post-secondary educational institutions, provide additional student and program disclosures, enhance institutional data collection requirements, and provide an administrative fine for failure to timely comply, and require accreditation for certain nursing programs. This presentation will focus on legislative changes relating to data accountability, licensure standards, required program disclosures, and an accreditation requirement for certain nursing programs. The first legislative change for rule development discussion is found in newly created Section 1005.11 Florida statutes. This statute is entitled Accountability for Institutions Licensed by the Commission for Independent Education and spells out responsibilities on the part of both the Commission and institutions relating to data collection and reporting. Newly created statutory text is highlighted in yellow. Subsection 1 requires the Commission to prepare an annual accountability report for licensed institutions that must contain at a minimum the following: graduation rates, including the number of graduates by program, retention rates, and placement rates. The first annual accountability report must be prepared by June 30th, 2024, and then by April 15th of each year after that. Subsection 2 requires licensed institutions to provide data to the Commission in a format prescribed by the Commission. The first data collection must be provided to CIE by March 15th, 2024, and by November 30th of each year after that. Placement rates must be determined using a Commission-approved methodology. Subsection 3 requires CIE to establish a common set of data definitions for institutional reporting purposes. Commission staff are particularly interested in what data definitions should be considered for rulemaking. Continuing on with newly created Section 1005.11 Florida statutes, subsection 4 requires the Commission to impose an administrative fine of not more than $500 when licensed institutions fail to timely submit the required data. Fines collected will be deposited in the Student Protection Fund. Subsection 5 authorizes CIE to require licensed institutions to provide institutional, graduate, and student data through reasonable data collection efforts as required or necessitated by statute or rule. This authorization is notwithstanding Section 1005.323 relating to documentation that CIE can request from institutions licensed by means of accreditation. Commission staff are interested in any suggestions or recommended rule language that properly balance the statutory collection and reporting requirements with any potential burdens imposed upon licensed institutions. The legislature amended existing Section 1005.31 Florida statutes relating to licensure of institutions. This PowerPoint does not contain 1005.31 in its entirety, only subsection 2, where the new statutory language is found. Again, newly created statutory text is highlighted in yellow. Subsection 2 requires the Commission to develop minimum standards by which the institutions are evaluated for licensure. New statutory language adds the submission of a retention and completion management plan as part of the existing retention and completion standard. In addition, new paragraph A provides that the existing standard relating to admissions and recruitment shall include, but not be limited to, requirements for verification of high school graduation, high school equivalency, or qualifying scores on an ability to test. Continuing with Section 1005.31 Florida statutes, new paragraph B authorizes the Commission to require licensed institutions to submit a management plan and prohibit or limit student enrollments based upon certain criteria, such as institutional performance on licensure standards or the imposition of adverse action by certain agencies and entities. New subsection B is not highlighted in yellow, as it is staff's opinion that rulemaking is not required in order to implement these provisions. Any comments, however, are welcome. In addition, a new subsection 6 is created authorizing CIE to establish by rule performance benchmarks to identify high-performing institutions. Rulemaking for subsection 6 will occur at a later date. This concludes the legislative changes made in Section 1005.31 that will need rule development. Newly created Section 1005.335 Florida statutes relates to accreditation requirements and programmatic approval. New statutory text to be discussed is highlighted in yellow. Subsection 1 requires that all programs offered by licensed institutions must be disclosed to CIE, including but not limited to a vocational examination preparation and contract training programs, as well as continuing education or professional development programs. Subsection 2 requires institutions to obtain institutional accreditation prior to obtaining approval from CIE to offer a pre-licensure professional nursing program. A separate PowerPoint presentation addresses the possible need for definitions of the term institutional accreditation and pre-licensure professional nursing program, as any proposed definitions would be included in Rule 60-1.003 relating to definitions. In summary, under consideration are point 1, amendments to 6E-2.004, Standards and Procedures for Licensure, Standard 10 Student Services, due to the addition of Section 1005.11, which states, by June 30th, 2024, and by April 15th of each year thereafter, the Commission shall prepare an accountability report for licensed institutions. The report must contain, at a minimum, the graduation rates, including the number of graduates by program, retention rates, and placement rates for all licensed institutions. 2, by March 15th, 2024, and by November 30th of each year thereafter, each licensed institution shall provide data to the Commission in a format prescribed by the Commission. Placement rates shall be determined using a methodology approved by the Commission. The Commission shall establish a common set of data definitions for institutional reporting purposes. Modifications to the rule may include graduation improvement plans, including the minimum percentage at which an institution must submit a graduate improvement plan, requirement for the reporting of data to include the data points that should be submitted to the Commission. Definitions and calculations for retention, graduation, and placement rates, and adoption of forms by which to disclose the data. The second is amendments to 6E-2.004, Standards and Procedures for Licensure, Standard 10, due to the addition of Section 1005.31, Licensure of Institutions, which states the Commission shall develop minimum standards by which to evaluate institutions for licensure. These standards must include, at a minimum, retention and completion, including a retention and completion management plan. Modifications to this rule may include the submittal of the retention and completion plan by CIE form. The third change is amendments to 6E-2.004, Standards and Procedures for Licensure, Standard 4, due to the addition of Section 1005.335, which states, all programs offered by a licensed institution must be disclosed to the Commission, including but not limited to vocational programs, examination preparation programs, contract training programs, continuing education, or professional development programs. Modifications to this rule may include the development of a form. The fourth area is amendments to 6E-2.004, Standards and Procedures for Licensure, Standard 4, Educational Programs and Curricula, due to the addition of Section 1005.335, Accreditation Requirements of Programmatic Approval, which states an institution must obtain institutional accreditation prior to obtaining approval from the Commission to offer a pre-licensure professional nursing program. Potential modifications to the rule include the application process for institutions applying for a new pre-licensure professional nursing program and the annual licensure or renewal process for institutions with existing pre-licensure professional nursing programs to include the timeline for obtaining institutional accreditation. The focus on this will be time frame for the accreditation process. The number 5 amendment to Section 6E-2.004 of Standards and Procedures for Licensure, Standard 4, Educational Programs and Curricula, due to the addition of Section 1005.31, Licensure of Institutions, which states the standard relating to admissions and recruitment shall include, but not be limited to, requirements for verification of high school graduation, high school equivalency, or qualifying scores on ability to benefit tests. This concludes the overview of statutory changes to Sections 1005.11, 1005.31, and 1005.33, data accountability, licensure standards, program disclosures, and accreditation. I will now see if there are any questions in the question and answer section. I'll give it one more moment. Hearing none, we will move to the public comment portion of this workshop. As a reminder, use the raise your hand function if you would like to speak, and you will be unmuted. And please introduce yourself. We will give it one more moment for any additional public comments. And please note, if you made public comment on day and 1-2, we have those in our record as well. All right. Hearing no additional public comments, we will move to the next Rule Development Workshop section. One moment, please, while I change my screens. This workshop will focus on Rule 6E-1.003, Definition of Terms, and 6E-1.0032, Fair Consumer Practices. So the housekeeping items are on the screen. They are the same as the prior workshop. And we will skip our background. It is the same as the other. However, please note, this presentation will focus on the legislative changes relating to student disclosures under the Fair Consumers Practices and the new accreditation requirement for certain nursing programs for definitional purposes. So the first legislative change for rule development discussion is found in Section 1005.04 Florida statutes. This section provides fair consumer practices that focus on disclosures to prospective and enrolled students. I've included the entire statutory section in this presentation with the new language highlighted in yellow so you can see existing language and new language in context. Section 1005.04 pertains to all institutions that are under CIE's jurisdiction, as well as schools exempt from CIE's statutory purview, including religious institutions that directly or indirectly solicit students for enrollment. So we will skip over to the first highlighted portion, which is the new language. New paragraph I requires institutions prior to enrollment to provide a written disclosure to a student or prospective student of all fees and costs, refund policy, any exit examination requirements, and the grade point average required for program or degree completion. The disclosure must also include a statement on the scope of accreditation, if applicable. Institutions licensed by CIE shall disclose the required information in a format prescribed by the Commission. Subsection 2 of the newly created Section 1005.335 Florida statutes requires institutions to obtain institutional accreditation prior to obtaining the Commission's approval to offer a pre-licensure professional nursing program. This statutory text is included here only for any questions, comments, or public input on the need for the definitions to be included in Rule 6E-1.003 Florida Administrative Code as they relate to subsection 2. In summary, under consideration are amendments to Rule 6E-1.0032 Fair Consumer Practices due to the addition of Section 1005.041H Florida Statute, which states, prior to enrollment, provide a written disclosure to a student or prospective student of all fees and costs that will be incurred by a student, the institution's refund policy, any exit examination requirements, and the grade point average required for completion of the student's program or degree. The disclosure shall include a statement regarding the scope of accreditation, if applicable. Institutions licensed by the Commission for Independent Education shall disclose the information required pursuant to this paragraph in a format prescribed by the Commission. The potential modifications are to Rule 6E-1.0032 6 Catalog Disclosures and Section 8 Enrollment Agreements. Additionally, under consideration are amendments to Rule 6E-1.003 Definitions of Terms due to the addition of Section 1005.335, which requires an institution must obtain institutional accreditation prior to obtaining approval from the Commission to offer a pre-licensure professional nursing program. The potential modifications to Rule 6E-1.003 New Definitions for Institutional Accreditation and Pre-Licensure Professional Nursing Program. At this time, I will show you the draft language for these two sections. What you will see in front of you is rule number 6E-1.003 and 6E-1.0032. Please note on the first page, there are legislative changes that are underlined. The remainder of the page is the actual Florida Administrative Code. These are the draft amendments to Rule 6E-1.003. Any changes have been highlighted and they are underlined as well. The remainder are items that are already in existing Florida Administrative Code. The first recommended draft is the definition for institutional accreditation, which means accredited status awarded to an institution by an accrediting agency or association that is recognized by the United States Department of Education as an institutional accrediting agency. The second definitional change is the addition of pre-licensure professional nursing program, which means a nursing education program that prepares a student for the practice of professional nursing by being qualified to apply for licensure as a registered nurse. This includes, but is not limited to, Associate of Science in Nursing, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Licensed Practical Nursing to Associate of Science in Nursing, Licensed Practical Nursing to Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and Accelerated Bachelor of Science in Nursing. The nursing assistant, practical nursing, and RN to BSN programs are not included within this definition. And that concludes the recommended changes to the Florida Administrative Code definitions. The next section is the draft amendments to Rule 6E-1.0032 Fair Consumer Practices. Once again, the additions or the draft language is highlighted in yellow and underlined. All remaining items are existing Florida Administrative Code. So the first change you will see is under Section 6, which states, I have to make it a little bit smaller. I apologize, and then I'll make it big again. Each prospective student shall be provided a written copy or shall have access to an electronic copy of the institution's catalog prior to enrollment or the collection of any tuition fees or other charges. The catalog shall contain the following required disclosures, and catalogs of licensed institutions must also contain the information required in subsection 6E-2.004, 11, and 12. The amendment is to B, educational programs and curricula, and the potential draft language is highlighted in yellow, which states, this shall include, at a minimum, the grade point average required for completion of the program and any exit examination requirements, including the required passing score of exit exams if applicable. The next change is found under Section 8. A licensed institution which is not accredited by a United States Department of Education recognized institutional accrediting agency shall use an enrollment agreement or application for admission, which, in addition to the catalog, shall be the binding contract between the institution and the students. The binding contract or document shall include, but not be limited to, the following. E, credential for satisfactory completion has now an addition of, at a minimum, this must include the grade point average required for completion of the program and any exit examination requirements, including the required passing score of exit exams if applicable. That completes the draft language for modifications to 6E-1.003 and 6E-1.0032. Do we have any questions related to this section? Okay, hearing no questions, we will move over to the public comment portion of the workshop. As a reminder, use the raise your hand function if you would like to speak, and you will be unmuted. And please introduce yourself. Y'all are very quiet on this Friday. Okay. Hearing no public comment, we will move to our last workshop of the day. I will provide you the information on this one about conclusion or additional information. Commission staff are anticipating this summer all of the proposed rules will be on the October 18th, 2023 State Board of Education meeting. Additional information about that meeting or rule updates can be found at the website or on the screen. I'm also providing my email address in case you would like to submit questions, comments, or suggested rule language following the workshops. Bear with me one more moment while I switch my screen to the next workshop. So this will be the final rule workshop for today, and this is on 6E-4.001, fees and expenses. Once again, the housekeeping issues are before you. They will be identical to the ones in the prior webinars. This presentation will focus solely on the legislative change relating to an administrative fine imposed on institutions that fail to timely submit certain required data to the Commission. The 2023 Florida legislature created new section 1005.11 Florida statutes relating to accountability for institutions licensed by the commission. It spells out responsibilities on part of both the commission and institutions relating to data collection and reporting. Since the statutory text on data accountability has been previously discussed, only the subsections relevant to the administrative fine created in subsection 4 are highlighted in yellow. Subsection 4, which will appear on the next screen, requires the Commission to impose an administrative fine of not more than $500 when licensed institutions fail to timely submit the required data. Fines collected will be deposited in the Student Protection Fund. The focus of this rule development is to determine what language should be added to Rule 6E-4.001 relating to fees and expenses in order to provide notice to institutions and the public of the new administrative fine created under Section 1005.11 Florida statutes. In order to provide context for rule language to implement subsection 4, I will briefly review the provisions of new Section 1005.11 subsection 1, which requires the Commission to prepare an annual accountability report for licensed institutions that must contain, at a minimum, the following: graduation rates, including the number of graduates by program, retention rates, and placement rates. The first annual accountability report must be prepared by June 30th, 2024, and then by April 15th of each year after that. Continuing with new Section 1005.11, subsection 4 requires the Commission to impose an administrative fine of not more than $500 when licensed institutions fail to timely submit the required data. Fines collected will be deposited in the Student Protection Fund. Subsection 5 authorizes CIE to require institutions to provide institutional, graduate, and student data through reasonable data collection efforts as required or necessitated by statute or rule. In summary, under consideration are amendments to Rule 6E-4.001, fees and expenses, due to the addition of Section 1005.11 Florida Statute, subsection 4, which states, the Commission shall impose an administrative fine of not more than $500 when a licensed institution fails to timely submit the required data to the Commission pursuant to this section. Administrative fines collected under this subsection shall be deposited into the Student Protection Fund. The potential modification is to Rule 6E-1.0044, fines and disciplinary oversights. I will now show the draft language. As shared earlier, what you will see on your screen is the rule number 6E-4.001, fees and expenses. So the first portion of this is the legislative changes found in House Bill 1537, which we have just spoke about. And then this section is the draft amendments to Section 6E, Rule 6E-4.001. The items highlighted and underlined are the draft language. All remaining areas are currently existing in the Florida Administrative Code. So the first change is found under subsection 4, fines and disciplinary oversights. There is now the addition of fine for failure to timely submit accountability data required by Rule 6E-2.004 10G in the amount of $500. And then under Section 9, all fees and fines imposed for probation or other violations shall be paid to the Chief Financial Officer of the Department of Education for deposit into the Institutional Assessment Trust Fund as established in Section 1010.83 Florida statutes and identified as a separate revenue account for the authorized expenses of the Commission under the provisions of Section 1010.83 Florida statutes. The addition to this section is, with the exception that all fees imposed under Rule 6E-2.004 10G Florida Administrative Code shall be deposited into the Student Protection Fund established pursuant to Section 1005.37 Florida statutes. And that concludes all the draft language. So we will move into the quality or the question and answer portion. Do we have any questions? We'll give it just one more minute. Hearing none, we will move into the public comment portion of this workshop. As a reminder, use the raise your hand function if you would like to speak, and you will be unmuted, and please introduce yourself. You all are really trying to leave for lunch. I see this. It's okay. You can email me later if you have public comment. Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much for the public comments that were provided today and over the last 2 days. We will review the comments as we undergo the rule development process and draft proposed rule language for commission review and approval, which is the next step. We greatly appreciate your input. As a reminder, Commission staff are anticipating that some or all of the proposed rules will be on the October 18th, 2023 State Board of Education meeting. Additional information about that meeting or rule updates can be found at the website on the screen. I am also providing my email address in case you would like to submit questions, comments, or suggested rule language following the workshop. Thank you for participating in the rule development workshops today. This now concludes the workshop. And Chair Coyne, I will turn it over to you for dismissal. Oh, 1 second, Chair Coyne, we have you on mute. Chair Coyne, can you try to unmute on your side? One moment, we are experiencing a technical difficulty.
Does that help?
It was me the whole time. I apologize. It was because I was sharing my screen. I overrode you. I apologize.
No worries, no worries. Well, with all that, have a great weekend, everyone. This meeting is adjourned. The Rules Committee is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you
soon.
And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Take care.
Thank you, Chair.